Hey guys, Jason here, stopping by for another 5-minute lesson. Hey listen, today I want to talk about first home buyer. At the moment, great opportunity for first home buyers to get into the market. But as a first home buyer, you need to know a few things. It's your first property, you want to get it right. You want to have an understanding of what it might mean to own something now, and maybe it's a stepping stone for something in the future. It might turn into a property investment soon, or maybe in the long term, or it might be the one that creates some deposits for you to do some other property investing. So let's go through it today. Quick 5-minute lesson. It could be a little bit longer than 5 minutes today, so just roll with me because I wanted to make sure I get this one right. We are holding some first home buyer nights. I put the link in the chat here on the video. So if anyone's keen in Melbourne or Sydney, we're doing some first home buyer nights. A lot more information. Hey, listen, first home buyers. First step, what's your plan? Where are you at? Thinking about a few things. Do you want to live in that property long term, or do you want to move out and rent it? It's at the moment, it's commonly known as rent vesting. And so understanding, do you want to live there? Many times our first home is not our dream home. So thinking about that, thinking about it as a rational decision. Right now, there's some great opportunities from lending and grants and so on. And you want to get into the market. So let's see what that looks like. You might have to live there for a short period of time, and then you may move out. Short and long, you may move out, rent it out, and so on. So when you rent that property, you've got to make sure that that is able to cover its own costs from a numbers and cash flow point of view. Your income or job, how secure is that? And do you want to continue to work for another year or two? Make sure that that's on the cards. Are you past probation? Are you a full-time employee? What's your income? You need to understand that job security and also what affects borrowing, which is the next part when it comes to credit cards, HECS debts, car loans, and other things to get yourself ready for finance. So what is your plan? How long do you want to be there? And remember, your dream home is not usually your first home. It's a stepping stone to something else. Finance, understanding finance. Finance is the tricky bit in this process. Do you have some savings, or are you paying rent? Because at the moment, if you've been paying rent for more than 12 months, you can qualify for a loan in a certain way, which is great, okay? Savings, have you got some genuine savings put in your bank account? Have you got a history or capacity to save some money of some description? Grants, the government grants, at the moment, they're pretty special. In some of the states, it's $10,000 or $15,000 cash up front for a brand new property. So, 10 to 15K. You don't have to pay stamp duty. No, stamp duty, that's a saving in some circumstances from $10,000 to $20,000. Lender's mortgage insurance, in some cases, in some states, New South Wales, you don't have to pay that, or it's subsidised, and so on. Government grants are there, free money basically. When you add it up, if someone buys a property, let's say in Queensland, $15,000, and they do the max purchase of $550, another $15,000 in stamp duty, free $30,000 from the government. That's awesome, amazing, and so on. So if it's worth it, and if you can afford it, then cool. Maybe your family, mum and dad might spot you 10 or 15 grand as you go along as well. So if you got 10 or 15 there, the government's going to give you 10 or 15, and mum and dad give you 10 or 15, 30 to 40 grand. You could be in the game, making it happen, buying a property, which is brilliant. So you might be sitting there thinking, I can't afford it. But when you actually do all the math and you have a look at exactly what is available and a few ideas, then you might be able to get something. So don't miss out. And incentives. There's builders and developers offering some great incentives, some upgrade packages, some furniture packages. Right now it's a buyer's market, so you can negotiate great terms and conditions. That's what we do with people as well. So, you could get an awesome property deal out there if you understand where you're at. Finance, pretty important. Understand and know what's going on. The location, where are you going to buy? Are you going to buy in the city really close to work if that's where you work? You're going to sort of be in the inner ring, or the close to the city but not too far, or in the suburbs or all the way out and you have to drive each day. You've got to think about transport. You've got to think about your happiness driving and commuting, or do you want to be closer to town, closer to jobs, closer to restaurants, cafes, and so on. It depends. It's horses for courses. The further you go away from the city or the closer to the city, it changes. If you've got a budget, let's say, of $450K as a first homeowner, if you've got a budget of $450K and you want to live in the city or the suburbs, well, usually in the suburbs, you could probably afford a house. But for $450,000 in the city, you're going to be only able to afford an apartment and so on. So what type of property depends on the distance. We sort of say if that's the city, then you know the distance from the city, that's the CBD. Distance from the city where you'll be able to afford depending on your budget, the dollars that you'll be able to borrow for finance, and your job, what you can afford when it comes to lending. Your job can pay for a mortgage or so on. So guys, hopefully that gave you a bit of an idea. If you are a first home buyer or you're thinking about it, these are some things you've got to make sure you understand before you go for it. And like I said, we're running 2 events, Sydney and Melbourne, this week coming. So click on the link and have a look if you want to get more detail, diving into the detail, the nuts and bolts of this concept for first home buyers. So there you go, guys. Quick lesson today. Hopefully it was useful. And as always, take care and bye for now.